All right, welcome to another short video. This is going to be a series of 20-minute videos, regardless of what Michelle believes is possible or not. Right before
I
we,
knew it.
of course, I'm going to tell on you. Right before we went live, I said, "Hey, do you want to join in on the video today?" And she checked her calendar and said, "I don't know, I got something in like 45 minutes," which means that even though I declared yesterday these are not going to be longer than 20 minutes, and yesterday's video was 19 minutes and 58 seconds, she still thought, I'm gonna have to see, I'm gonna have to have maybe a whole hour free, maybe. So belief systems get revealed real easy. So but these are short 20-minute segments, and yesterday's video was why coaches still fail with the right strategy. Today's video is going to be the opposite angle of that. Basically, is how you can succeed with the wrong strategy as a coach. And the big takeaway from both of these videos and so much of what we want you to know is that strategy ain't it. Strategy is not the deciding factor. Of course it's a factor. Of course it matters. It is not the most important ingredient. I don't think it's anywhere near the most important ingredient. And yet, what we see constantly is that well, maybe not nearly all coaches, but the coaches that really struggle for a long time mostly are driven by finding the right strategy. And the problem with that is that it slows your decision making down and it slows your implementation down. So the problem isn't with each individual choice that you make. You buy a program or you follow a certain strategy or you come up with it on your own and then you try it and it works or it doesn't work. The problem isn't the individual wins or losses. The problem is that when you collect losses over a period of time, it slows down your decision making and it slows down your permission to take more action because your mind gets too involved and pressurizes the next decision that you make. So over a longer period of time, this slows down one of the most important mechanisms for you as an entrepreneur, which is to pick a target, shoot at the target, pick a target, shoot at the target, pick a target, shoot at the target. And by target, I mean just execute a strategy, like whatever the task is, right? It actually does not matter. The other thing is, and this is, I think, part of your most important lessons, I would say, Michelle, from your journey is what I want you to pick up on, or pick up here after I say what I'm about to say. Part of the truth about strategies is that when you over pressurize things, you're almost guaranteed that it won't work because the pressure crushes the performance for nearly all humans, especially when we're talking about anything that is somewhat creative, which coaching is. It's more artistic than science. If you know exactly what to do, if you've got a scientific task, then the pressure doesn't affect the performance as much as when you've got to be in some kind of a flow. So the added pressure puts too much emphasis on getting it right. And even deeper than that, we're going to dive into this in future videos. Even deeper than that, too much emphasis on not getting it wrong and what not getting it wrong means. And then the final thing, and then over to you, Michelle, is you will never find the right strategy first, ever. First, you won't do it. Not only will you not find the right strategy first, if you think that strategy is the end all be all to your success, you're going to prolong the process that I'm about to share real briefly. I want you to think. Now, the numbers that I'm about to give are not a prediction for every single person, but I want you to act as if you're going to fail, quote unquote fail, with 19 wrong strategies before you find the right one. And you think about it, like almost everywhere in life, that's the case. You have to do things poorly first and then get better and then find the right thing. It happens in relationships. It happens in definitely with any kind of process where you get better and better as a musician or as an artist or whatever. Like it happens in movies. I've heard it said that you're going to make 10 bad movies. So the only question is, how fast are you going to get through those? And here's the thing. If you believe you're going to make 10 bad movies and the whole point is to get through them as fast as possible, the likelihood that one of your early movies are going to be really good actually increases infinitely. So if you believe that your right strategies, probably 20 strategies later, there's a chance that it'll be your third one that actually works because of the energy release. So anything you want to add to that, and or I'd love for you to share your part of your story, especially about like, you know, needing to find that right strategy and what the big lessons were that you learned.
Whew. Yeah. So I love the fail, like almost what I heard, you didn't say this, is like make failure the goal, then like make finding the 19 strategies the goal. And I think that's so helpful, especially if you are somebody who has any kind of tendencies towards like perfectionism, which is what this is, right? Which is this expectation that things we have to have a guarantee and a knowing that things are going to go in such a way that we're not going to experience anything bad happening, right? Externally or internally, based on whatever decision we make. And, you know, it's interesting to me when you talk about the pressure. I visualize, I mean, and it comes up for me even when you were talking, Sean. I can feel this like presence, that because that's where she used to stand, was like behind my right shoulder. Like I could energetically feel this like voice that like their head was almost like right here outside of me, just constantly being like, don't fuck this up. You better not mess this up. Like, don't screw this up. Like, you better get this right. What decision are you making? How are you responding to that? Like this just constant voice that was pressurizing every single move, response, decision that I made. And if you're listening to this and you even if you don't relate to this specifically, but if you visualize that for just a moment, like the reaction, I mean, I'm not even trying to, and look at me, like I'm looking down, I'm hunched over, like my shoulders around it. That's the physical experience of that pressure that Sean was speaking about. And it never, not one time did it help me to both perform well and actually enjoy and be open and be present inside of the process.
But it seems like if you're in that place where you're hunched over and you got all this pressure and perfectionism and you got the entity and all that stuff, it seems like then if you ask other people to, hey, come join me in this, it seems like that would be really attractive, though. It wasn't?
No, not at all. That's funny.
Look at me. I can help you with your life.
And I was a really good faker. So even if you're super good at pretending that that's not happening, even if you're super good with telling everybody you're fine and convincing everybody that that's not going on, energetically it's felt. It just is. And I have so many evidence of like experiences of that in my coaching business, of doing all of the right things, following all of the rules because I was coachable. I was about to say good, and I'm like, oh, a phenomenal student. Yeah. Front row, did all the right things exactly as I was supposed to do, but nothing was working. And it wasn't because of what was happening outside of me. It was because of the experience that was going on inside of me. And what was really important, and I want to share this here, is
Wait,
that
say that again. You said nothing was working because of the. What about the outside and inside experience? How'd you word that? Or just re-say it with whatever that concept was.
I don't know that I've ever said it before, so I'm not sure I remember.
Okay, so one of the well, I just written down nothing was working.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting in the front row and being the good student, all that stuff, that's the way that we're conditioned to learn. That's the way that we're conditioned to succeed and get the attaboys and attagirls and all that. But when you said that, what you now know and didn't know then is everything was working.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't working according to the good student rules that you were following, according to the learning that you had been conditioned by, according to the employee mind. Things weren't working, which is why I wanted you to, obviously we'll, see what you said actually in the replay, but what was going on inside was working because you were having these experiences. And like you said a few minutes ago, the point is to fail. The point, and not so much fail as much as just take action.
Try.
The point is to do things.
Yes.
And when you do things and they don't quote unquote work externally like you wanted them to, quite often they are working better actually internally, because you have to learn the things that are causing the attempts to not work externally. Right. But we have to understand that we are in a completely different kind of learning when we're in coaching and when we're in entrepreneurship and you're trying to build a business and you're dealing with humans. Like, the old rules don't apply here. So the good news is, this is where it gets liberating and infuriating, depending on how you see it. The good news is when you fail at your old rules, that's a good thing. When you succeed at your old rules, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
And so the things that we tend to think will work, when they do work, if we're operating under the wrong rules, success with the wrong rules is ultimate failure. Failure with the wrong rules is ultimate success if you keep going. And I know it makes no sense to the programmed, conditioned mind. And that is probably why almost everybody fails, because they don't actually reset the rules.
Ooh.
Oh, well, bye.
We have a few more minutes. Yeah.
But it's possible to reset the rules like that. That's what you have to understand. It's possible.
Yes. That's the thing. And the things that at least I want, and then things that I believe based on the coaches that we speak to, like the things that I think a lot of coaches want as well, they are available. It's just oftentimes on the other side of the uncomfortable thing that you don't want to do, like resetting the rules, like learning a new way. Like, for me, it was getting comfortable with messy, because that's what the creative process, that's what that meant to me. It was messy. And for me, that just wasn't safe. That was like, we've got to pressure this. Mess isn't good. Everything has to be perfect. And we had to reestablish rules, like internally, so that I could give myself permission to actually play and create and be in this messy process and learn a new way of learning that was different than everything that I'd been accustomed to before.
Right. Oh man, it's a gigantic conversation. And so we don't want any of you to think, okay, well, just flip the switch or just check that box. Now I intellectually understand it, because we're dealing with conditioning and programming and root learning systems and root learning methodologies. So it's not an easy thing, but it is possible. When you do this work, then this is where all the liberation comes. Then you actually give yourself more permission to take action, which will get you in motion. And motion is the point. Nobody can predict the strategy that's going to work for you. And anybody that does is lying. They're either intentionally lying because they know that you'll pay them for it, or they're just lying, but they don't know they're lying. But it is impossible to predict an unknowable future. And if you're in the coaching world with humans, it's an unknowable future.
Yeah.
That's just the case.
Mhm.
And I've been saying this so many times recently. I've been in business 18 years. My business made millions and millions and millions of dollars. I don't know what's going to work. So those people who think they should know what's going to work without years of experience and millions of dollars of success, you have the wrong idea in your mind. It's not your fault. It's conditioning. But you cannot win that way. You have to play by different rules. So back to the topic of this particular video, how do you succeed with the wrong strategy? Here's what your success in coaching is ultimately going to come down to. Are you a good coach or not? That's what it's ultimately going to come down to. Do you give people a phenomenal experience of your coaching? Which means, is the product good? Your product of coaching, your service of coaching, is it good? If it's really good, then you can throw the wrong strategy up against the wall over and over and over again, and you will trip and fall into the right one. You will get to the point where by doing a lot of things, things start to click. And one of the things that we harp on all the time is that the new definition of right and wrong in this world is alignment. It's simple alignment. It's not the thing that will avoid failure for you, because that thing that's right or wrong for somebody else won't necessarily be right or wrong for you. But the ultimate question is, are you a really good coach? And most people are not. And I'm not saying that from like an egotistical, judgmental standpoint. It's because I see what's in the industry and I see what certification programs have. But more importantly than that, we hear people. We listen to the people that are struggling. So I'll just amend what I said. Most people who are struggling either are not good coaches or they don't believe themselves to be good coaches. Interestingly, sometimes good coaches still believe they're not good coaches. But it's that internal belief that actually is sabotaging everything. So what's ultimately going to determine your success is giving people a really, really good experience. Michelle says marketing is just coaching before anybody's paid you yet. If you operate under that mentality and you're more committed to giving people a good experience of your coaching, the strategy will find you. If you're waiting for the strategy before you commit, so that, and here's the other piece, don't have enough time to dive into it here, we'll do it another time, so that you get paid, so that you become successful, there is no strategy that's going to rescue you, nor should it. Because if that's really what you're out for as a coach, just don't do this. Don't do this for you, but don't do this for them. Because your goal shouldn't be find the right sales strategy that will get somebody to pay you money. That's not a goal that's sustainable for you, nor is it worthy for them. So be in it with the right reason, and this can actually work. Something that we'll put on the docket for another time is most people are buying sales strategies. Therefore, they think sales strategies is how they need to sell their programs. You didn't actually buy a product or service, you bought a sales pitch. And then you think the sales pitch is the way to go. So I'll give you the last 45 seconds here, Michelle.
I just want to restate what I heard you say, which is that the strategies aren't going to find you. The only way that you're going to figure out what works for you is through the action. So you have to be able to remove the pressure so that you can be able to take the action so that you can get the thing that you want. That success, the business, the desires that you have, they are available. It's just on the other side, right, of the thing that we don't want to do.
Yeah, well, we got like 15 seconds. We got to read Joseph's comment. A strategy that slapped me in the face was that I had to stop preaching and start teaching, and that took me away from what I thought was my authenticity, when in fact it was my authenticity. Joseph drops the mic. All right, we'll see you in future videos, everyone.
Bye, everyone.